respected chairman, the rapporteur, seniors in the mining profession, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, madam, for the introduction. I'm sorry, I don't know much of Tamil, so a little bit I understand, but I don't know Tamil. I am from Bangalore, so I have to make my presentation in English only. But I'll go slow. I will go slow because there are some issues as far as the mineral laws are concerned, be it the MMDR Act, be it the minor mineral concession rules that is there in Tamil Nadu, some of the issues concerning the explosive licenses and the environmental clearances. And definitely whatever I'm going to speak is very much practical, nothing theory here. These are all live cases we have seen, we have handled. So one by one I want to discuss as we move along. Now, first of all, everywhere I start with a disclaimer because whatever the presentation I am doing is of my own. It doesn't belong to MEA or the association. Of course, it doesn't belong to any person living or dead, and if any, it shall be purely coincidental or fictional. And of course, nowadays, a lot of environmental concerns, so I need to say that, no animals were involved in making this presentation. Otherwise, people will think he is anti, environmental, whatever, issues like that. Okay, now, the very first issue I have, see what happens, we have this central act called as the MMDR Act, 1957. This is by the central government. Now, the act is by the central government, whereas the rules, especially the minor minerals, rules for minor minerals, the powers have been given to the respective state governments. So each state in India, they have got their own minor mineral concession rules. But many a times we have seen the state governments forget that there is something called as an act. They keep on amending the rule, in whatever manner they want, so that they can control the industry and they can get more and more revenue. But unfortunately, many a time we have seen the rules that come up in some of the states, whether it is Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Andhra, these are some areas where I have dealt personally. Some of the provisions they bring in, which is not in line with the act. So when it is not in line with the act, so obviously those provisions will fail. They will not hold good. The very first issue I have is on royalty or signorage fees, what it is called. No, the first issue is, now, what is a mining right or a lease? You must be laughing, why I'm saying this. See, what happens, if you have a lease, so that means you have a right to exploit and to appropriate. You can do mining operations, you can sell. Now, the issue is, if this is the position, on my sale, anyway, I am paying some taxes. Today we pay GST, earlier we were paying VAT. Okay, when I am paying on my sale, then why should I pay royalty? No, royalty according to the government is a consideration towards giving this right. Now, whatever I said, it is all backed up by the Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court. These are the two case laws which I put it up on the screens, so you can check later. There is one decision of the Honorable Supreme Court, HRS Murthy versus Collector of Chittor, Andhra. There was one more case, so these are all backed up by the Honorable Supreme Court. Now, if you come to the MMDR Act, even the minor mineral concession rules, they have not defined what is a royalty. Nobody knows what is a royalty. It's the general understanding. When something is not defined in the law, obviously we go back to the definition, the dictionary meaning. It's something like, sharing of profits. Whatever you want, little bit you share with the grantor of the license or the lease. So once there is no definition, obviously litigations will happen. Now the other question that comes is royalty a tax? Because it's compulsorily payable to the government. So is royalty a tax? In fact, nobody knows. Neither the central government nor the state government, because the matters are before the Honorable Supreme Court. Now what happened? There is one case that traveled from Tamil Nadu to the Supreme Court, that is in the case of India Cements. So it was a 7-judge bench of the Honorable Supreme Court wherein it said royalty is a tax. But there was one contrary judgment That was a 5-judge bench. It was in the case of Kesoram Industries, wherein they said, no, it is not a tax. Honorable Supreme Court, it is the apex court of the country. And mind you, whatever the Supreme Court does is the law of the land. Is the law of the land. There are two contrary rulings. Now, eventually what has happened? Now, the matter in the case of mineral area development, it is transferred to a 9-judge bench. Now, why this is relevant? Now, why this is relevant? Because what happens? See, if royalty is considered as a tax, then possibly it may be considered as a statutory impost. If you go to the Constitution, Article 366, Clause 28, it can be considered as a statutory impost also. There is a possibility. Then what happens? Now, this is a very burning issue. If the Honorable Supreme Court considers royalty as a tax, we don't know because the judgment is awaited right from 2011. If the Honorable Supreme Court says royalty is a tax, then service tax on royalty, GST on royalty will fall because there can't be tax on tax because India believes only in single taxation. If the Honorable Supreme Court says royalty is a tax, then service tax on royalty, GST on royalty will collapse. If it is the other way around, then we have a problem. So we have to wait and watch. Now, what is this issue? Whether it is minor minerals or major minerals, so we all pay royalty. Whatever the mineral, whether it is sand, building stone, or iron ore, limestone, whatever. So, as I told you in the beginning, mining lease is a right you get. And the government believes once it gives a right, it is rendering a service. So, for the service, we pay the royalty. Now, from 1st of April 2016, service tax was introduced. The moment service tax was introduced, there was a lot of litigation. In fact, the first case was in Karnataka, NMDC Donimala Iron Ore Mines. They went before the Honorable High Court of Karnataka and they got a stay. That was way back in August 2016. After that, we were all taking shelter under that and we were saying, no service tax. Eventually, what happened? In Rajasthan, Udaipur Chamber of Commerce, there the Honorable Rajasthan High Court said, no, it is not a tax, so the levy is okay. Then what happened? The Honorable High Court of Karnataka matter was disposed of. So since service tax came, so the government also brought in GST. There's no difference. From July 2017, the same provisions were brought in GST also. Now, from Rajasthan High Court upheld the levy of service tax. From Rajasthan, the matter is now before the Honorable Supreme Court. Now, what will happen? Again, we need to wait and watch. Now, there are a lot of WhatsApp messages, lot of stays. You don't pay service tax, you don't pay GST, lot of stays, lot of matters before the Honorable Supreme Court. Now finally what the Supreme Court has done recently, about a year back, they said, we will decide only on the service tax matters. They clearly said, we are not inclined to entertain the petitions under Article 32. That is what you file. Under Article 32, you file before the Honorable Supreme Court. They said, all the service tax matters only we will decide. Anything pertaining to GST, you go back to your own jurisdictional High Court. Let the High Courts try out the matters. That is Article 226. And they say, you pursue the remedy before the Honorable High Courts, wherever High Court you are. If you're in Tamil Nadu, go to the Tamil Nadu High Court or Madras High Court, or in Karnataka, wherever. So now, the position is, only the service tax matters are before the Honorable Supreme Court. As far as GST is concerned, they have thrown all the petitions out. They are saying, go to the Honorable High Courts, wherever you are there. Let the High Courts try it out, and then we will see. Now, what happens? Whatever the ratio that comes in service tax by the Honorable Supreme Court, the same thing will definitely apply even to GST. The only thing is, it's a matter of time. The other issue is, I am asking, wherever people come to me for advice, I keep advising people, why are you litigating? See, we are here to do business. We are not here to litigate. No, the issue is, there is no bar on taking input tax credit. You pay GST on royalty, take the credit. You pay this month, next month take the credit. Why do you want to litigate? It is revenue neutral. But litigations are coming in those cases where in the past they have not paid service tax, or in the past they have not paid GST. Now, let me tell you, service tax, yes, in the past, if you're not paid, then definitely, if the case goes against you, you have a huge liability with interest and penalty. But as far as GST is concerned, that is from July 2017, there is one government press release, July 2019, wherein they are saying if it is under reverse charge, because royalty, GST and royalty, we pay under reverse charge. The government is saying you pay now, take the credit. No litigation. But of course, you are open to interest. That's one thing you have to see. Now, depending on the quantum, depending on the risk-taking capacity, you need to move forward in this. So this is one point I thought I will highlight. So these are all the other, that was one issue on royalty. Now, the other question is, ownership of minerals in case of private lands. There's one case from Kerala. So two cases from Kerala, one case from Mizoram. Now, what happens if the land, is privately owned? Land is privately owned, not owned by the government. Government in the sense state government or local municipality or panchayat, whatever. If the land is privately owned, now today MMDR Act allows you to operate in that area. Now the question came, when I have the surface rights, when I own the land, that means I have the surface rights. See, till about 2013, we were always thinking the minerals in the land, the minerals in the private land, we were always thinking it belongs to the government. A private land, when I say a private land, the title should be clear. It should not be of the government. When it's a private land, the subsurface rights, the minerals in the land, we were always thinking it belongs to the government. But what happened? Obviously, the Honorable Supreme Court in 2013, Tresiyamma Jacob, it travelled from Kerala High Court to Supreme Court. Supreme Court clearly said, if the surface rights belongs to a person, even the subsurface rights, that means the mineral lying underneath also belongs to you. Also belongs to you. Until and unless there is a statute which says the mineral rights belongs to the government. Until unless a law comes up in a respective state, only then you are denied of the mineral right. Now what happens in India, state is always land is always a state subject. In fact, the Prime Minister's office, if they want to put up one branch office of Prime Minister's office here in Coimbatore, now Prime Minister, Mr. Modi cannot come and just all of a sudden put up a structure here. No, he has to seek permission from the state government, because that is how the land laws operate in India. Because land is always a state subject. Central government, they want to put up an office here, they need to seek permission from the state government. They have to assign the area, they have to earmark. Accordingly, until unless a state law denies you the mineral right, so the minerals belonging to a private owner belongs to the same private owner. In fact, there's another judgment. It has travelled from Mizoram in 2019. In this judgment, in this case also, the Honorable Supreme Court said, yes, the mineral also belongs to you. But now, recently 4 days back, again one Honorable Supreme Court, Kerala matter, POAP's granites. Here the issue was the land, the private lands in Kerala. In fact, this matter also travelled from Kerala to Honorable Supreme Court. Here the issue was the private lands was meant for cultivation, for rubber plantation. But unfortunately, pattas they took, there were mineral in it, the local authorities gave the NOC, the leases were granted. After about 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, the local tahsildars and the deputy collectors, they said no. They started issuing stop memos. That is when the matter went before the Honorable High Court in Kerala. From there, it went to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court now, 4 days back, they allowed them to withdraw. Supreme Court orally observed, saying that, look, if the land was originally meant for cultivation, then it can't be diverted for quarrying. So this is one thing we need to be careful. So these are all the issues as far as private lands are concerned. Now, the other fundamental issue is, if the land is mine, the mineral is mine. Fine, if the land is mine, the mineral is mine. Then why should I pay royalty to the government? Anyway, on my sale of minerals, whether it is building stone, granite or iron ore, limestone, whatever on sale, anyway I am paying taxes. So if the land is mine, the mineral is mine, why should I pay royalty? If the land belongs to the government gives me a right, a lease, only then I am bound to pay the royalty. If the land is mine, there is no question of paying royalty. In fact, in the MMDR Act, We don't call it as a lease. For a private land, they call it as a working permission or a license. So there's a difference. Now, the same issue was discussed in 2013 in Tresima Jacob's case. The Honorable Supreme Court clearly said, yes, as of now, we are not deciding on this matter. This matter has been referred to another large judge bench, 9-judge bench. So let the decision come, we will take a call on it. So that is the position. So that means if you are a owner of a private property where the mineral belongs to you, as on today, you excavate, pay the royalty, pay GST and royalty, take the credit. As of now, till the Supreme Court judgment comes up, so then we have to wait and watch. Otherwise, as of now, the laws are the way I have discussed. Moving forward, now, everywhere they create a confusion, Now, for major minerals, there are 3 types of payment of royalty. One is ad valorem. That means it's a percentage of the average sales price declared by IBM, Indian Bureau of Mines. Second is a fixed amount. Like iron ore, if you say it is 15% of ASP, if it is limestone, it is a fixed rate, 90 rupees. For manganese, it is 5% of ASP. For metal and all, it is linked to the London bullion market. Now, they say whatever royalty you pay on major minerals, they say it is provisional in nature. This is the concession rules provision, they say it is provisional in nature. Why it is provisional in nature? Because today I have excavated, say 1,000 tons of iron ore. Today, if I have to take out the iron ore out of my lease area, I need to pay the royalty. If I have to pay the royalty, there is no ASP for today's rate. If you go back to the IBM website, you will find the royalty ASP percentages only for December. Today, March, 18th of March, there is no ASP. What do I do? So the government says you pay whatever is applicable, then for December you pay, and later on you will adjust it. So this is what is called as provisional assessment and adjustments. I think this was not warranted. These are all lead to confusion, a lot of work. It was not relevant. This has come only from 2016. Actually, it was not required. According to me, today if you are taking out the mineral, pay whatever is the ASP applicable, whatever is the latest available, and then eventually it will even out. It will even out. But unfortunately, this is how the law is. This is as far as major minerals are concerned. Now, the other issue is run of mine. Unprocessed ore. Run of mine, they say you have to pay royalty. You have to pay royalty for any mineral the moment you take out of a lease area. Now, the issue is if it is iron ore, run of mine, limestone, run of mine, whatever. If you go to the ASP that is published by IBM, they don't publish ASP for run of mine. In fact, we have been making presentations, nothing is happening. So that means technically today if I have to take out ROM from the mining lease area, there is no ASP. Once there is no ASP, 15% of ASP, on what do I pay? But practically the department, the DGM here, what we call, in Karnataka we call it as DMG. Here it is Department of Geology and Mining. The DGM, he will not allow you have to pay some royalty. Some pro rata they take, something on fine, something on lumps, and then that's how the royalty is. But technically for ROM, there is no ASP even today. Right from so many days we have been making representation, nothing has happened. Now the other issue is levy of DMF and NMET. DMF, we all know, District Mineral Foundation. NMET, National Mineral Exploration Trust. Now, whether DMF and NMET, can it be levied on minor minerals? DMF and NMET, can it be levied on minor minerals? DMF, yes, because there is an enabling provision in the Act. If you go to section 15A, it allows the state government to levy DMF, whereas you don't have similar provisions as far as NMET is concerned. That means for major minerals, NMET we pay 2% of the royalty, but NMET cannot be levied on minor minerals because there is no enabling provision in the Act. Now, what happens? As I said, rules are by the state government. They want maximize revenue. Every state attempts. They forget that there is something called as MMDR Act. And rules are always subservient to the Act. It's something like, only a dog can wag the tail. It is not the other way around. There has to be an enabling provision in the Act. Only then you can promulgate through the rules. Now, as far as I am concerned, for minor minerals, there can be only two levies. One is royalty and DMF. Royalty and DMF, nothing else. Absolutely nothing else. Law does not permit. But unfortunately, every state government tries. Now, in Karnataka, somewhere in from 36 2020, they wanted to levy 70 rupees per metric ton on Immse, the crush and entering Karnataka. The target was the material coming from Krishnagiri and Hosur. From there, the material entering Karnataka, they wanted to levy 70 rupees per metric ton. What happened? Matter was litigated. The Honorable High Court, they struck it down. Now, another case in MP, Madhya Pradesh, Ultratech, it was getting a red ochre minor mineral from Rajasthan. Because in MP, red ochre was not available because they had a cement plant somewhere in Immse district in Madhya Pradesh. So Ultratech, they were getting red ochre minor mineral into the state of Madhya Pradesh. Red ochre is a minor mineral. So the Madhya Pradesh government, they were taxing, they wanted everybody getting red ochre or any other minor mineral into MP, they wanted to levy a regulation fee of 25 rupees per cubic meter. Regulation fee of 25 rupees per cubic meter. Again, this was stuck down. Again, this was stuck down. Now, you must be wondering why I'm discussing all this. Similarly, state government, they said, in a case of Gujarat, they said on sand, the government of Gujarat wanted to levy, there also it was struck down. Now, why I'm saying all this? In Tamil Nadu also, you have something called as the Green Fund. The Honorable Finance Minister, State Finance Minister, he has put up Green Fund in the budget 21-22. Now, according to me, the state government cannot do it because there is no enabling provision in the Act. They cannot. Of course, you are all aware, Green Fund, these are all the notifications. Now, Green Fund, how much is he levying? It is 10% of the royalty or 20% of the royalty if you are taking it outside Tamil Nadu. According to me, it is unconstitutional. Definitely, if challenged, it can be struck down. It can be struck down because I have already given you cases of MP, I have given you cases of Karnataka. So, and according to me, my personal view, they cannot levy anything else apart from royalty and DMF. Now, this Virudnagar District Quarry Owners Welfare Association, they have challenged this. When I went through the case, the Honorable Court, Madurai bench, they have not granted the stay. Ideally, they should have granted a stay, but whatever reason, I don't know. That's left to the Honorable Court. So I'm not getting into that. Now, the other question that comes up is, Green Fund, does it apply to major minerals in Tamil Nadu? Since they have applied Green Fund, 10% or 20% of the royalty extra on minor minerals, can they also bring the same for major minerals in Tamil Nadu? The answer is an emphatic no, they cannot. Because there is no such powers. Because all major minerals are governed by the central law and we have central rules. So it is not left to the state government, they cannot. Now, under the MMDR Act, we also have two types of additional consideration. They have introduced 5th schedule and 6th schedule from March 2021. There are two types of additional consideration. That means central government, for major minerals, you have royalty or dead rent, whichever is higher, and DMF and NMT. Apart from that, they also have something called as additional amounts. Now, what are these additional amounts? See, for the major minerals, this concept of renewal is not there. They have taken away. January 2015, they have taken away right of renewal. But for government companies and government corporations, they said, we will not give you renewal, but we will give you extensions. In fact, there's no word called renewal in the MMDR Act. They said, we'll give you extensions. But again, the government said, we will give you extension, but I need to extract my pound of flesh. For a government company or a government corporation, you have to go back to the 5th schedule. There they have specified you have to pay some 100% or 150% of the royalty is extra, depending on the mineral. That is the 5th schedule, but that is only for major minerals for government companies or corporation. Now, there is another schedule called as the 6th schedule. There also, now what happened? What is the 6th schedule? This also is from March 2021. Earlier in Jan 2015, the government said, if you are a captive mines, okay, They said, whatever production you do in the mining site, you have to use it in your own industry. You can't sell outside. They said you can't sell outside. Obviously, there was trouble. There was trouble. Then March 2021, the government relaxed this. The government said, all right, we'll allow you 50% to sell outside. We'll allow you to sell 50% outside. But again, the government wanted additional revenue. That is where they brought in 6th schedule to the MMDR Act, wherein they are saying, if you are not using for captive consumption, 50% if I'm allowing you to sell outside, you'll have to pay extra amount as royalty. It could be 100, 150, 200, whatever. Again, if you're auction, non-auction case, so those parameters are there. So those are the two additional consideration. Now, as far as you are concerned, can this additional consideration be levied on minor minerals in Tamil Nadu or any other state? According to me, no, because the state governments, they do not have power, because additional consideration are emanating from section 8 or 8 capital A and also 8. Now, if you go to section 14 of the MMDR Act, it says section 5 to 13 will not apply to minor minerals. The state governments do not have. Now, because of this, that 5th schedule and 6th schedule cannot be brought into effect for minor minerals. This is just a comparative chart, like, for major and minor, what has to be done. Anyway, the presentation will be shared. You can take a copy from the organizers.
Hello.
In fact, I give up my IPR rights in the presentation. It can be used by anybody, not a problem. Yeah. Okay, now coming to the issue of classification of minerals.
Sorry to disturb you. Dr. Vijay Singh, you can take another 5 minutes more.
I need another 20 minutes, but he says 5 minutes. I'm sorry, sir. Okay. These are some very relevant issues, and I think the people should be educated. In fact, I've come all the way from Bangalore so that, this is the ground reality, because we know what's happening. So that's how it is. I'm sorry, sir. I need to extend a little bit. Okay, now there's another issue of classification of minerals. Now, we all know there are two types of minerals, major minerals and minor minerals. Now, the question is, who decides a mineral as a major or a minor mineral? Whether it is the state government or whether it is the Directorate of Mines and Geology or the local panchayat or municipality, whatever, who decides whether a particular mineral as a major or a minor mineral? Essentially, it is the central government, nobody else. If you go to section 3, clause E of the MMDR Act, it is only the central government that can decide whether a mineral is a major mineral or a minor mineral. The moment it decides a particular mineral as a minor mineral, then they come back to the statal rules. Otherwise, you are in the Central Act and the central rules. Now, if you remember, 10th of February 2015, central government, they classified 31 major minerals as minor minerals. Now, I think there are close to about 100 minor minerals. I don't have a full listing. There are about 100. Now, what happened? I remember some of my friends in IBM, Indian Bureau of Mines, they were saying, sir, overnight, they have taken away 50% of our work. Because when 31 major minerals became minor minerals, so IBM was left with no work. They clearly said 50%, they have taken away our work. But anyway, now what is the issue in this? Now, there is one particular issue as far as limestone is concerned, because limestone is available even in Tamil Nadu, majorly, because that's one of the substantial minerals that you get. Now, what happens? Limestone, it is a major mineral, it is also a minor mineral. Why it is a minor mineral? The notification says somewhere in 1989, they brought a notification wherein they said, limestone when used in kilns for the manufacture of lime, used as a building material. Limestone used in kilns for manufacture of lime for used as a building material. Only such limestone will be considered as a minor mineral and nothing else. Anything else apart from this has to be a major mineral. Now, obviously, there were tricks played. Now, state of Meghalaya, it's famous for limestone. It's famous for limestone and coal mining also. There are a lot of illegal coal mining there. In fact, it is famous for rat hole mining there. So there what happened, the government, the state government, again through minor mineral rules. See, I told you every state will have one minor mineral rules. What they did was, they inserted one clause U, wherein they brought in a definition called as incidental. Now, what is this incidental? They said this is the exact definition. In fact, I reproduce full stop and comma also. I don't alter the way it is because that's a law. Now, they said incidental in the context of extraction of minor minerals means such an unintended extraction which arises out of non-mining activities such as construction of roads or other major infrastructure projects. Now, what is happening here? This is something, they brought in a definition called incidental. That means you are digging a road, you are laying up a road or digging a well or whatever you are doing, maybe for irrigation or whatever, there they were getting a lot of limestone. And they also said this is part of a non-mining activity. Now the question that was coming up to the government there was, when you dig a well, you get limestone. Now what do you do? Because the person who digs, he doesn't have a mining lease. The government said, all right, I'll bring you this definition. Now that limestone, what do you get? Limestone, what you get? You pay the royalty. You pay the royalty, and generally what was happening there in Mizoram, it was close to Bangladesh. All the limestone that they were getting, they were exporting to Bangladesh there. They were exporting. This was the whole issue. Then obviously there is something wrong here, because the limestone that they were getting, it was not coming under the definition of minor mineral as it has to be for a limestone. But it was not meeting that definition. So a lot of people were exporting and the government was getting good revenue. Government was getting good revenue. There the issue was limestone, a major mineral, was considered as a minor mineral and royalties was collected, wherein the state government never had any powers to collect royalty on limestone as a minor mineral. So obviously the matter was litigated. It went before the Honorable Meghalaya High Court, and High Court was right. High Court said, look, state government, what you are doing is not correct. In fact, state government defended before the Honorable High Court saying that, sir, we are getting a lot of revenue. Allow this practice. Allow this practice. Even though it is not used as a lime for, building material, even though it is exported, allow us. But the Honorable High Court said, no, what you are doing is not correct. Then the Honorable High Court, these are the exact wording they used. Para 48, if you go to the judgment, they clearly says, what comes to light here is the state-sponsored subversion and a kind of misadventure that does not behoove its status. And the Honorable High Court also slapped a penalty of 2 crores on the state government. This is the reality. Luckily, the courts are supporting us. Actually, what the court said was right, because you can't, in the guise of, minor mineral, you can't be exporting a major mineral. That was the position there. Anyway, now that was one mischief played there. The other issue that is there before all of us is, dumping of overburden of waste rock. Can dumping or the waste material be taken outside the lease area and dumped? Is it allowed? I think I have to overrule this bell for some time. Okay, thank you. So now the question is, can dumping of waste be carried outside the ML area? In fact, we were also under the impression that you can. In fact, even the Indian Bureau of Mines, whenever you would go and get the mining plan approved, they were allowing, mind you, they were allowing. But what happened in 2014, the Honorable Supreme Court, in the Goa Foundation case, they said, no, you cannot. Because dump also is akin to mining. The material that you get because of the development activities, the waste, that also should be part of mining only. You have to dump it in the lease area only. That means, whenever you get a lease area, it should accommodate the mineral, it should also accommodate the waste, mandatorily. Maybe crushing or beneficiation may happen outside, but definitely dumping, they are very, very clear, it has to be within the lease area. Anything else is actually not as per the law. But IBM was allowing in the past. Now, there is one very important issue as far as Tamil Nadu minor mineral is concerned. May 2022, they have come up with something called as granite waste. This is one GOM there in Tamil Nadu. According to me, I request all the granite quarry owners to take note, because all India statistics for ornamental stone, the rough granite blocks, what you get, all India statistics, let me tell you, the recovery is just about 25 to 30%. I hope the mine owners will agree. The recovery is just about 25 to 30%. So that means 70% is a waste. 70% is a, why it is a waste? Because there are cracks, the block size is small, or some faults have come, color is not right, flower is not right, chota flower, big flower, whatever. Now, overall, 30% is the recovery, 70% is the waste. Now, where is the waste? Where are you putting the waste? What we are doing normally, we give it to somebody. Some fellow will come, put it in a truck and go us. Now, mind you, what happens when you are excavating? You excavate some volume. Now, tomorrow, when they carry out the drone survey, the volume is projected. Now, the question comes, what happened to the 70% material? Definitely, it is not there. It is not there in your quarry area. It is not even lying near your quarry area. Where is this? In fact, my request to all of you, because the way the legal issues are coming up, my request is even that on that 70% waste, pay some royalty and then show it as a supply, even though you may not charge anything. Otherwise, tomorrow you are open to severe penalties. In fact, the Tamil Nadu government, they have introduced this, rule, clause after, 5AA, wherein they are saying you pay 100 rupees on that waste and be done with that. According to me, please do it. It will safeguard you from penalties in future because the penalties are huge, mind you, and whatever profits you make will just get wiped away. Because one drone survey, they will calculate your volume and they will see, okay, only 30% you have taken the permit. What happened to the 70%? Either the material should be there or you should have paid the royalty on the waste. My request is, if material is not there, pay that royalty and be done with that. Let that 100 rupees per ton, let it be your cost. You save a lot of money on the penalty proceedings. Okay, now the other issue is, there's a conflict between the minor mineral rules and the GCDR, Granite Conservation and Development Rules 1999. Now, which one prevails? The Honorable Andhra High Court says GCDR will prevail, but it's just an interim order. We have to wait and watch what will happen. And they have stayed the auctions of granite blocks in Andhra. This is the case number. You can take a copy and you can keep tracking. The other major issue, as far as explosives is concerned, in fact, I have seen in Karnataka, and I am told that is prevalent even in Tamil Nadu. I have seen in Andhra, Telangana. Now, what happens, especially minor minerals? Building stone, main is a building stone, road metal or building stone, whatever you call. See, the area that you get, minimum 1 hectare area, or 10 hectares, 10 acres, 5 acres, whatever area you get, generally it is full mineral, it is full building stone. No, sir, if you have a production of 1 lakh, 2 lakhs metric tons per annum, manually it is impossible to work. I can do iron ore without drilling and blasting. Because today iron ore has become soft, I can deploy heavy machines, I can do. Even limestone with a surface recliner, I can manage without drilling and blasting. But mind you, building stone is not possible. According to me, because I know what is there in the field, according to me, ordinary building stone, you need drilling and blasting. Now, sir, if you are doing blasting, as a quarry owner, you have explosive license. In fact, according to me, 80-90% of the people do not have explosive license, but still we are using explosives. And how we are using the explosives? We enter into an agreement with the explosive seller. There are a lot of explosive dealers. They have their own magazines. See, explosive dealer, he is here to make money. His business is selling explosives. So to sell the explosives, he purchases from the manufacturer and he has a magazine. See, if he gets more margin, he'll put up 10 magazines, he'll put up 100 magazines. But now the question is, what we are doing as quarry owners, we enter into an agreement with the explosive seller and we allow that person, the explosive seller, to come and do blasting in my quarries. According to me, it is highly wrong. It is erroneous. It should not happen. I'll tell you why. The reasons are like this. If you go to the explosive rules, if you go to rule 7, forget the first 2 rules. Rule 7, if you go, it clearly says, it's coming here but not on the screen. Can somebody help? Why is it not coming up on the screen? I don't know, the last para is not coming. Not a problem. If you go to rule 7, it says, no person shall manufacture, import, export, transport, possess for sale or use an explosive except as authorized or licensed under these rules. That means both the parties should have a license. I'll tell you why. Now, how is the transportation of explosives done? Because it's highly explosive, highly regulated, and moreover, Tamil Nadu and all, we had those days, LTT issues, those issues. So, explosives across the country is highly regulated. Now, as per the explosive rules, if you go to explosive rules, the latest rules, it says that whenever you transport explosives, there should be an indent in form R11. Now, who has to give this indent? This indent has to be given by the user. That means the quarry owner, he has to give this indent. Now, the transporter, he should transport in form RE12, which is called as a transport pass. This pass, a copy of it should be given to the local SP. A copy of it should be given to the controller, whether it is a deputy controller or whoever is a jurisdictional officer. A copy has to be given. So that means there has to be an indent, there has to be a transport pass. Next, the explosive seller will also have a should have a loadman license. Then of course, you should have a original copy of the bill. And then you have something called as form RE3. That means the mine owner, when he gets the explosives, he is supposed to fill up a form called as RE3. And then when he issues explosives for usage, he has to do something called as form RE13. Now my question is, to issue an indent, if the owner, the quarry owner or the quarry operator, if it does not have a license, how will he issue the indent? Impossible. And today, as far as explosives are concerned, it is all online now. Nothing is manual, it is online. Earlier it used to be called as Department of Explosives, today it is called as PISO, Petroleum Explosive Safety Organization. Everything is online. Now once you do, this all has to happen online. Now, if you get into an agreement with the explosive seller, how will he do RE11, how will he do RE3 and RE13? He cannot do it. It's not possible. And even as an explosive seller, I am here to purchase. That means I possess and I sell. In fact, I am not even technically competent to come and do blasting in your quarry sites. In fact, to blast in your quarry site, you need to have a blaster. Now, an explosive seller, at the most, he may have a shot firer. And mind you, a shot firer cannot come and do blasting in a quarry. It has to be a blaster only. Under the Mines Act, it has to be only a blaster. But unfortunately, even in the law, in the explosive rules, there were some gaps. So there, in explosive rules, you have this concept of possession for sale. That means it is meant for somebody who possesses and to sell. It is not meant for somebody who will possess and use. That is the difference. Now, possession for sale versus possession for use. So what used to happen? The explosive dealer will come. He will come with a shot firer. He will blast and go. We were questioning this. We were telling the department also what is happening here. Because even for the explosive seller, if you see his license, LE3, there is no bar. He used to tell me, look, where is the bar? I can go and do blasting anywhere. Then if that is the case, today in Coimbatore, can I go to an explosive seller and ask him to come and do blasting in this Codici hall? Not possible. Until unless the Codici hall, the operators, the owner of this hall possesses an explosive license, you can never use it. That's not possible. In fact, we were making this representation and eventually we were always saying possession for sale and possession for use, they have to be mutually exclusive. That means an explosive seller, he should never get a license for use, vice versa. That means a quarry owner, he should get a license to possess and use. He should never get a license to possess and sell. These two should be mutually exclusive. That means in a dark room, when you turn on the light, the darkness goes away. Either light has to be there or darkness has to be there. So something like that we were always representing, and fortunately the government has heard us. In 2019, now they have brought in this rule saying that an explosive seller, he will get license only to possess and sell. He will never get license to possess for use. Not possible. So that means today your agreements all are not valid. Things will not work. Now, where am I? Yeah. Now, possession for use. Okay, now as a quarry owner, you may decide, yes, I want to go in for this. Okay, I want to go in for a license, so I will apply. Now, the problem we are having as a small quarry owner, I will tell you the difficulty here also. As a small quarry owner, let's say I have a quarry of 5 acres. Now, I want to have a license. Then the government says, you take a license, possession for use. Now, the problem I'm having, which again we are representing to the department, we are saying, if I have to have a license for use, they are asking me, you put up a magazine. They are asking me, put up a magazine. Okay, if not a concrete structure, they are saying, put up a portable magazine which can have 500 kgs of explosives. I am saying, look, if I have to put up a magazine, invariably I have to put up that magazine in my quarry area. Of course, magazines you can have it outside the quarry area. There's no bar. There's no bar. But practically it doesn't work. I have to put up in my quarry area. In my 5 acres of quarry area, if I put up a portable magazine and I have to leave 15 meters all around, and in less than 30 meters I need to have a security guard, half acre area is gone. If my half acre area or 1 acre area is gone, where is the area for me to do mining operations? Plus I need to leave 7.5 meters all around as per DGMS norms. Where is the area? Earlier, explosive rules 1983, then they were allowing me only to use. There was a provision, they were allowing me only to use. I should only go to the department, take a license only to use. I need not store. Why I should store? Let's say today I want to use 700 kgs. I will ask the explosive seller, he has his van, he will come. I will use that 700 kgs. If something remains, I'll send it back. Why should I store? I am asking the department, give me that kind of a license, but they are not yielding. I think as an association, you have to make representation. If this comes up, it will solve most of the problems. Everybody will come forward. Because today, having a magazine, losing the area, nobody will come forward. This was there earlier, but I think this is something we need to do it. Sir, I'll finish, sir. Another 5 minutes, I'll finish. The other issue is splitting of explosives. If you go to the explosive rules, they say you can't use a split explosive. In the sense, explosive, it comes in a cartridge form. Whatever 300 mm, whatever size you get, they are saying you're not supposed to cut. In case if it is damaged, they say you have to destroy. Explosive rules, they do not allow you. But what happens? Our DGMS, if you go to MMR, Metal Mines Regulations, they give you permission to cut and use explosives. Very unfortunate. They give you permission to cut and use explosives. One hand, explosive rule says you can't cut and use explosives. On the other hand, DGMS. In fact, I have seen cases where the DMS has given permission to cut and use explosives because under MMR, Regulation 155, they allow. They say unless otherwise permitted, you have to use explosive the way it comes. So the DMS says, I am empowered, I am giving. Because I am not bound by the Explosive Act and the explosive rules. So this is a gap in the law. This again we need to set it right. Now coming to EC issues. Somewhere in April 2018, the Honorable Supreme Court, just before that, they came up with a ruling. They said if somebody had EC is environmental clearance. If somebody had EC under the 1994 notifications, I hope you know we have two notifications, 1994 and then subsequently 2006. 2006 has repealed the 1994 notification. So there are cases where I had EC under the 1994 notifications because EC is generally given for a maximum period of 30 years. So let's say I have an EC obtained in 2000. That means I have taken EC under the 1994 notification. So in 2000, I have got the EC for a mining project. I am working. Now all of a sudden, they are saying in 2018, they are saying, if you have got EC under the 1994 notification, then the life of the EC is only 5 years. Because the Honorable Supreme Court has ruled accordingly. So they came up with this notification. They are saying, if you have got EC under the old notification, 1994 notification, they said your EC is valid only for 5 years. So they gave a window of 6 months to apply. That means from April, 6th of April, they gave me 6 months time to apply. That means they say you reapply, we will revalidate. They will revalidate under the new notification, 2006 notification. Now the issue is, after so many years, they are now saying, okay, that you have to apply in 6 months. Suppose I don't apply within 6 months, then what will happen? There are many cases. And mind you, this applies for major as well as minor minerals. There is no difference. Because EC is by the central law. It is the central government that manages the EC process. Now, what will happen if I don't apply within 6 months? In fact, I know cases, they have applied and today the lease is expired, surrendered also. They have managed, they have worked, matter ends there. Now what will happen? So this is one more issue that is troubling the industry. So the associations need to take it up. Now EC violation cases. Now, for the entire country, there is one SOP, July 2021, except for Tamil Nadu, because Tamil Nadu local court has granted a stay. Only in Tamil Nadu, that SOP they said is not applicable, July 2021. Whereas across the country, SOP is available. See what happens in violation case, I have worked the mines without EC. For whatever reason, I have worked. I have not taken EC, but I have worked. So there is a violation. It has happened. In fact, across the country, there are tons and tons of cases. Only in Karnataka, we don't have these EC violation cases, let me tell you. Because there, the norms were very strict. Without EC, without FC, without the consents, they were not signing the lease deed. They were never signing the lease deed, whether it is minor mineral or a major mineral. They were very, very clear. But unfortunately, different states, even Tamil Nadu for minor minerals, only in 2015, they brought in Rule 42, subclause 3, wherein they said you take EC. Then they extended 180 days. Then it became 250 days. Then it became 390 days. And then finally, 630 days. But what happens? The law is very clear. If you are operating a mine, they say you have to get prior EC. That means even before you start your production, there has to be EC. Now, let's say I have EC for 1 lakh metric tons per annum, a small mine owner. You want to produce 1 lakh 10,000 extra, you have to go get your EC amendment done. Because EC talks about prior EC, it is not post facto. Never. The moment you go post facto, that means you have violated. You come under the violation category. Matter ends there, you come into violation category. There are cases, what to do? So that's the reason it went into a lot of litigation. Finally, in July 2021, the government came up with an SOP saying that, all right, you pay some additional penalty and we'll allow you. We'll allow you. But unfortunately, that is litigated in Tamil Nadu. You must be knowing the case, Mrs. Fatima versus the state of Tamil Nadu, or state of, Union of India. There's a stay only in Tamil Nadu, not across the country. I'll skip because for lack of time, I'll move further. So if I'm a violation case, that means I have operated without EC. For whatever reason, I have operated. Now the issue is, when you are before the committee, they are asking me to do damage assessment. They are asking me to come up with a remediation plan and NRAP and CRAP, Natural Resource Augmentation Plan, Community Resource Augmentation Plan. But the issue is, of course, we have some committee members also. I'll tell you, there are no guidelines. This is there from 2017. There are no guidelines. But still they want us to do it. I have been telling to the ministry, sir, come up with some guidelines. You know, one case we represented in New Delhi, they told me you copy the earlier one. See what the earlier person has done and you come up with this. So this is one more area of concern. I thought I'll share with you. Now there are some drafting issues in Tamil Nadu, minor mineral rules. So I think, sir, I will leave it here because I think I need to stop. I can go on, but I think let me stop here. So
Okay,
no,
because you are taking the question hour, so
yeah, I know.
there will be only 2 questions. You go ahead and finish it.
See, the issue, there are some drafting errors in Tamil Nadu minor mineral concession rules. In my opinion, they are saying on surrender, whenever your lease expires, they say the very next day you have to hand over and go home. But for major minerals, we have 6 months time. For minor minerals, at least 2 months or 3 months they should give. And this is there in the powers of the state government. I think the association should represent. See, today my lease expires. They say tomorrow you have to surrender, give an affidavit and go home. This is the law. But I think for major minerals, they are giving us 6 months in the mineral concession rules 2016. So this is one more thing I request you to take it up. Now, in Tamil Nadu minor mineral rules, let's say there is a discovery of major minerals. I have given a lease for dolomite. I get limestone. I'm given a lease for dolomite, but I also get limestone in it. Now, limestone is a major mineral. Dolomite is a minor mineral. The rule says, I will allow you to excavate and sell. Okay. The rule says, I'll allow you to excavate and sell, only you pay me royalty for limestone. As I discussed earlier, not possible. You cannot, because you are bypassing the MMDR Act. You are bypassing the concession rule. That cannot happen, because if limestone has to be done, then obviously you need to have permission under the MMDR Act, etc. Now, there is one more issue as far as approval of mining plans are concerned, whether it is approval or modifications of mining plan. Now, if you go to clause 4, sub rule 8 of rule 41, it says you submit a draft mining plan. There is a time period for the department to approve. So, if the department does not approve within the time period, they say it is deemed to be approved. It is deemed to be approved. But they also say it says shall be deemed to have been provisionally approved, and such approval shall be subject to the final decision whenever communicated. Let's say I apply draft mining plan. The department does not approve within the given time frame. I think it is 90 days here. If it does not approve, then they say it is deemed to be approved. No problem, I start working. After 6 months, the department says, no, we reject your mining plan. Then where am I? That means 6 months I have worked without the mining plan. Can it happen? I think this is another drafting error. Unfortunately, the minor mineral rules across the country I have seen, they are not drafted properly. They have not, whether it's Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Andhra, wherever. Now, if you have both major and minor, then there is a circular wherein this is IBM can do it. Now, one last issue I have is reservation of areas. Again, Tamil Nadu minor mineral rules, they reserve certain areas for mining for government companies or corporations. They reserve certain areas. Once it's reserved, of course, there is a gazette notification. That area is not given to a private party. It is not open for auction. Now, the question is, once you reserve, let's say it is reserved for XYZ public sector undertaking. XYZ public sector undertaking. Now, for how long will you keep it? Will you keep it for 20 years, 30 years, 50 years? There is no time period here. But now recently, March 2021, they have amended the act. They are now saying for major minerals, if you have reserved an area, within 5 years, that area has to be converted into a mining lease. Otherwise, they will lose the right. That's a welcome change as far as major minerals are concerned. I think minor also they have to do something like that. Otherwise, the areas are blocked for years and years. Nothing is happening. Now, Rule 42, you are all aware that mischief rule of Rule 42, I am not discussing. This is one very good thing as far as minor mineral, Tamil Nadu minor mineral rules are concerned. This is one very beautiful thing. I don't see this even in the major minerals. They are saying if the bid is unreasonably high, here also auction happens. If the bid amount, the premium is unreasonably high, then the government has got a right to negate that. That means they can cancel the tender. In fact, we are not able to do, for major minerals, we are not able to do. I don't know, let me tell you, people are bidding as high as 285% of the ASP. It's impossible to work. But the government, they don't have powers to annul. But here, the Tamil Nadu government has retained that powers. This is a welcome move. So, yeah, this is all I had from my side. Lack of time, I have to conclude. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patient listening.
It's a very, very interesting and useful delivery by Dr. Vijay Singh. I will allow 2 questions because time is short. Other speakers are waiting. Sinasamy was raising a query on GST, or Nandakumar. That is him, but he is a chartered account, so mostly dealt with legal issues.
சார் எல்லாத்துக்காகவும் தமிழில் கேட்குறேன். இந்த ஜிஎஸ்டி 3 years பேக் வந்துருச்சு. பட் ஸ்மால் குவாரி ஓனர்ஸுக்கு இப்போதான் கட்ட சொல்றாங்க. சப்போஸ் இப்போ நம்ம பே பண்ண அந்த 18% நீங்க வந்து இன்புட் எடுக்கலாமா?
Yeah, GST 3 years back they were asked to pay. Whether we will wait or we have to pay, he is asking.
No.
His question is not that.
No, I got his question. I'll answer. Sir.
Yeah, whether I can take the input credit.
See, the question that you asked, I will tell in English. Correct me if I'm wrong. You say that GST is applicable for last 3 years for small mine owners. Notice has come now. What should we do? I'm clear? Okay. Now, first of all, President Shah was saying GST has not come for 3 years. It is there from 2017. July 2017. For every mine owner, it is there. Everybody paying royalty, this was applicable. I will go a step forward. It was applicable from 1/4/2016 when service tax was there. Mind you, whether you are a small quarry owner, big quarry owner, it makes no difference. Ignorance of law is no excuse. It was there. Okay. Now, the question that you asked, now, sir, last 2 years, 3 years, I have not paid. What do I do? See, definitely, there is one press release. July 2019, the settled government has given a press release. When we are doing the GST audit, if you Google it, you can get it. There is a press release, not a circular, not a notification, not even in the rules. There is a press release. The Ministry of Finance, they have said RCM, reverse charge mechanism. If you have not paid for 17-18, what to do? That was a question asked. They said, pay now, take the credit. But the issue will be interest will come. Let's say 17-18, you have not paid. My request would be pay now if you don't want to litigate. If you have to litigate, no problem. There are case laws. We don't know what will happen. I will say, at least going forward, last year and now, pay, take the credit. Only thing is you have to pay in month 1, take credit in the second month. Because RCM provisions, whether it is royalty or there are so many other, like you take lawyer services, everywhere you have to pay first and then take the credit next month. So my request will be pay, but of course you are open to interest. Penalty will escape. But pay through your monthly return, that is GST 3B. Don't pay through a challan, DRC 03. No. Once you pay through DRC 03, you will not get the credit. If you want to get the credit, pay in your monthly return, that is monthly or quarterly return, that is GSTR 3B. I hope I'm clear.
No. The question is, he just wanted to know, excuse me. His question is, he just wanted to know whether he can take the input credit for the back date.
Yes, sir. That's what I told.
Okay.
You can, because RCM, what happens, it goes on payment basis. You raise a self invoice now. Take the credit. Take the credit.
DMF fund நம்ம சேலஞ்ச் பண்ண முடியுமா? தமிழ்நாடு கவர்மெண்ட்ல மட்டும் தான் DMF fund இருக்கு 10%. நம்ம கோர்ட்ல சேலஞ்ச் பண்ண மத்த ஸ்டேட் இல்லன்னு சொல்லி நம்ம அதை சேலஞ்ச் பண்ணி கோர்ட்ல ஃபைட் பண்ண முடியுமா?
Okay, not DMF, but you can fight on green fund. DMF you cannot because that is there in the act.
Green fund, sorry, green fund.
Green fund, yes. Already one Virudnagar Welfare Association, they have filed a case before the Madurai bench. You have a good case, you will win. I am telling you, there is a good case. In fact, the government, they do not have power to come up with any other levy. This green fund and all will be squashed. Only thing is you have to pursue the matter, get some good lawyers, and you will have a good case. In fact, you should also file for a stay. You should file for a stay. In fact, since this issue has come, my appeal to all the mine owners here, whoever is paying green fund, 10% or 20% of the royalty, please write a letter to the department saying that you are paying under protest. In fact, I am giving a free advice without charging any consultancy fee. This green fund levy itself is questionable. The government, state government does not have powers to levy this green fund. But from February 2021 or 22, you have been paying 10% or 20%. Even though the matter was before the Madurai bench of the Honorable High Court of Madras, they have not granted a stay. I wish they would have granted a stay, but they have not granted a stay. That means they are forcing you to pay this green fund of 10 or 20%. My request to all of you is, you write a letter to the department saying that this 10%, 20%, whatever you are paying, this is under protest. Now, what is this under protest? That means tomorrow, when the Madurai bench says this fund is not applicable, the levy itself will be squashed, then the government should refund you this money. And once you write a letter under protest, they cannot hold this money with them. Because the government, any tax they collect, any levy they collect, it has to be under the authority of the law. Now, where do you, I'm saying this, where do you get the powers? If you go to Article 265, it clearly says, without a law, without a valid enactment, no government can collect any tax, any levy. So here my appeal will be, write one simple letter saying that whatever green fund you are paying, it is under protest. So that you have a claim after 3 years, 4 years, whenever the matter decides, you have a claim to get this money back. Otherwise, you may lose the claim. So just write a letter saying that, sir, this amount what you are paying is under protest. And you cite this.
I'll explain to them.
High Court. Yes,
I'll explain to them in Tamil. அவர் என்ன சொல்றாருன்னா, இந்த கிரீன் ஃபண்ட் வந்து நம்ம லீகலா போய் கேஸ் போடலாம். கேஸ் போடுறது தாராளமா போடலாம். ஆனா நீங்க கட்ட வேண்டிய ஒரு சூழ்நிலை வந்துச்சுன்னா அண்டர் ப்ரொடெஸ்ட்ங்கிற வேர்டை கொண்டு வந்து கட்டுங்க. ஏன்னா நாளைக்கு இது வந்து ரூல்லன்னா நீங்க உங்களுடைய பணம், நீங்க கட்டின பணம் திரும்பி வரக்கூடிய வாய்ப்பு உண்டு. அதுக்காக நீங்க கட்டும்போது அண்டர் ப்ரொடெஸ்ட்னு கட்டணும். கட்ட வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை வந்துச்சுன்னா அண்டர் ப்ரொடெஸ்ட்னு கட்டணும். இது வந்து நீங்க கோர்ட்லயும் போய் நிறுத்தத்துக்கு ஏற்பாடு பண்ணலாம். ஆமா, கவர்னர் நாங்க இது வந்து ப்ரொடெஸ்ட் பண்றோம், இது லா ரூல் பிரகாரம் கிடையாது, லா பிரகாரம் கிடையாது. இருந்தாலும் இப்போ வேற வழி இல்லாம நீங்க ஃபோர்ஸ் பண்றதுனால நாங்க கட்டுறோம். அதனால அண்டர் ப்ரொடெஸ்ட்ங்கிற வேர்டு வரணும்.
அதே மாதிரி அந்த இதுல வந்து பிளாஸ்டிங் லைசன்ஸ் சொன்னாரு. நம்ம வந்து குவாரி ஓனரும் அந்த லைசன்ஸ் வச்சிருக்கோம்னு சொன்னார் அவரு. எக்ஸ்ப்ளோசிவ்காரங்க தான் நம்ம ஸ்மால் மைனருக்கு அவங்க வந்து வெடிச்சு கொடுத்துட்டு போயிட்டு இருக்காங்க. இப்போ வரைக்கும் அதான் நடந்துட்டு இருக்கு. பட் அவர் என்ன சொல்றாருன்னா குவாரி ஓனரும் அந்த லைசன்ஸ் வாங்கணுங்கிறாங்க. அது அந்த என்ன
இல்ல இப்ப நம்ம பண்ணிருக்கிற சிஸ்டம் வந்து அது லீகலா கரெக்ட் இல்லாத சிஸ்டம். ஏன்னா அவங்களுக்கு வந்து சேலுக்கு தான் பர்மிஷன் இருக்கு, யூஸுக்கு பர்மிஷன் கிடையாது அவங்களுக்கு. நமக்கு வந்து பொசஷன் அண்ட் யூஸ் தான். நம்ம பொசஷன் வச்சு யூஸ் பண்றதுக்கு தான் நமக்கு லைசன்ஸ். அதனால அவங்க லைசன்ஸை வச்சு நம்ம யூஸ் பண்ண முடியாது. அதனால நம்ம வந்து லைசன்ஸ் வாங்க வேண்டிய ஒரு சூழ்நிலை வருது அப்படின்னு சொல்றாரு.
லைசன்ஸ் வாங்கி ஆகணும்.
ஆமா,
சரி சரி.
அதான் அவர் சொல்றாரு. நம்ம மேகசின் வைக்கிற மாதிரி இருந்துச்சுன்னா உங்களுக்கு இருக்கிற ஏக்கர்ல நீங்க ஒரு மேகசின் வச்சீங்கன்னா அதுக்கு சேஃப்டி டிஸ்டன்ஸ் எல்லாம் போகும்போது அது கடைசியில உங்களுக்கு
மைனபிள் ரிசோர்ஸ் கம்மியாயிரும்.
ரிசோர்ஸ் மட்டும் இல்ல, உங்களுக்கு ஏரியாவே கம்மியாயிடும். அதனால அதுக்கு வந்து இது அவர் அதான் சொல்றாரு, இதுல வந்து மாத்துனா நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி சொல்றாரு.
அதே மாதிரி இந்த எஸ்ஓபி இந்த ஈசி வந்து ஆட்டோ டார் இருக்கு. இப்போ ஆட்டோ ஈசி இருக்கா? 105 டேஸ்ல வந்து குடுக்கலன்னா ஆட்டோ டார் வந்துரும் சொல்றாங்க. பட் அதே மாதிரி ஆட்டோ ஈசி இருக்கு. அதுக்கப்புறம் இத்தனை நாள்ல ஆட்டோல ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா ஈசி வருமா?
Automatic EC is there, whether he is asking.
No, impossible.
illa
For mining, because we come under the red category, even tar they will not give you. They will call for a presentation. In fact, tar ideally, if it's a regular case, they should, by default, you should get that a standard tar. But unfortunately, mining, they will definitely call you representation. Don't forget this auto EC, not possible. You have to do the presentation.
டம்ப் வந்து அவுட் ஆஃப் மைன்ஸ்ல நம்ம சின்ன சின்ன குவாரி தான் வச்சிருக்கிறோம். ஒரு 1 ஹெக்டேர் அந்த மாதிரி டம்ப் வந்து அவுட் ஆஃப் லீஸ்ல வைக்கிறதுக்கு என்ன ஏதாவது பாசிபிள் இருக்கா?
இப்ப ரூல் பிரகாரம்
அதான்
அது இப்ப ரூல் பிரகாரம் இல்லன்னு
சொல்லிட்டாரு அவரு.
ஆமா, அது நம்ம இனிமேதான் கேட்கணும். கேட்டு நம்ம மாத்தணும், ரூலை மாத்த வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை இருக்கணும். இப்ப ரூல் பிரகாரம் கிடையாது. இனிமேல் அது நம்ம we have to get it.
No, for granite blocks, whatever waste you get, I am saying pay that nominal royalty and be done with that. So that let that 100 rupees per ton be your cost. You will save from penalty. Because when they take the volumetric measurement, see today they can fly a drone. In half an hour, I know what is the volume of excavation. When I take the volume of excavation, let's say you excavated about 5,000 cubic meters.
I will explain that in Tamil.
Yes, sir. Please.
அவர் என்ன சொல்றாருன்னா, நம்ம குவாரியில நம்ம எடுக்கும்போது இதுல வந்து வேஸ்ட் கிட்டத்தட்ட 50-60% வேஸ்ட் போயிடுதுன்ட்டு நம்ம இப்ப என்ன பண்றோம், அதை எங்க ஸ்டாக் பண்றது இல்ல, கொடுத்துடுறோம் யாருக்காவது. நான் என்ன சொல்றாரு, அது நீங்க ஆரோக்கியம்ல கட்டணுங்கிறனால மொத்தத்துக்கும் நீங்க கட்டிடுங்க. பின்னால நாளைக்கு வந்து பிரச்சனை வந்து கொஸ்டின் பண்ணாங்கன்னா அந்த 70 எங்க போச்சுன்னா உங்களால காமிக்க முடியாது. அந்த காமிக்க முடியாத சூழ்நிலை வரும்போது அது உங்களுக்கு பெனால்ட்டி, இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் எல்லாம் போட்டு கேட்பாங்க. அது இதோட ஜாஸ்தி ஆயிடும். அதுக்காக பேசாம கட்டிடுங்க அப்படிங்கிறாரு, சஜஸ்ட் பண்றாரு.
இல்லை, அது கட்டுறதை பற்றி இஷ்யூ இல்லைங்க. பட் ஒரு கட்டலன்னு வச்சுக்கிங்களேன், அந்த டம்ப் பண்ணுறது கூட வந்து அவுட் சைட் ஏரியா தான் கொட்டணும் அப்படிங்கிறாங்க. ஃபார் அ ஸ்மால் குவாரி ஏரியா, ஸ்மால் மைன் ஆஃப் 1 hectare, the OB has to be dumped. If the rule says that it has to be dumped in the mining area, then the available lease becomes very, very less. It has been necessarily dumped in the other place. So it may be applicable for a major mineral where we have 100 acres, 200 acres, like coal mine or iron ore mine. But in a small mine area, it is not practically possible to dump overburden outside inside the lease area. Because here the lease area, the very size of a small quarry is only 2 hectare, 1 hectare, 3 hectare, like that. So we have to dump the overburden in the neighboring our own place. Then after that, when we are able to sell the material, we can pay the royalty and sell the material.
Sir, what happens? Please, sir. See, what question you raised. The person, whoever is there, small quarry owners, you prepare a mining plan or a quarrying plan. Please take a look at that. In the quarrying plan, you would have shown some areas dumping inside the quarry. Now, who is initiating? It is the quarry owner himself. What I told you is a practical solution. Especially see where this ordinary building stone, or road metal, whatever you call here, there is no question of waste. Everything is saleable because you get area only for the mineralized zone. Now, for ornamental stone, where that waste is there, I gave you 100 rupees per ton, just pay and be done with that. So once you pay the royalty, then matter is there, it is outside wherever you keep. But practically, I know, but sir, now going forward, things have to change. You have to now see to it that you also get some area along with your lease area for dumping also. Otherwise, going forward, this issue will be there. Sir.
So another question is, now you said there is amendment there for the minor mineral concession rules. In that, the transfer of mining lease is not, we are not having the option of transfer of mining lease in minor minerals, whereas it is there in the major mineral. Major mineral, the lease can be transferred to somebody else. Suppose one mine quarry owner want to sell that land, now it cannot be transferred in Tamil Nadu minor mineral concession rule. Other one is the transit pass issue. So now we are issued permit for the transportation of mineral from the quarry to our crusher. Now again, there is another rule which says that you have to have a transit pass. So transit pass, again, why should it come? Because once the mineral is being transported from, permission is given for the transportation of mineral from the quarry to the crusher is already obtained. Then we do Immse or whatever it is. Then again, there should not be another transit pass to verify the quantity and transport and everything. So it becomes, actually some of our association have challenged the transit pass. Is it possible to do it? And the other question is, there's the 9-member judge bench, which is going to give the judgment for the GST and royalty.
No,
why should
royalty is a tax or no?
Yeah. Why should say inordinate amount of time on a very crucial issue? Why can't such judgments be decided either way, which is giving so much of pain for the, suppose somebody is not paying, he has to pay the penalty if it comes against them. So why don't the legal system take such kind of decisions? I know that it is beyond your your purview, but still, as a curiosity, I'm asking you, why should such judgments, which has got such a wide implication throughout the country, should be taken such an inordinate amount of time?
Yes, sir.
Also, the district mineral fund, what are the areas in which the district mineral fund should be used? Because there is no guideline on how to utilize the district mineral fund. And EC, for extension of EC after 5 years, lease is given for 30 years. So every 5 years, again, the environmental, should we go for environmental clearance? Just revised mining plan is sufficient for us.
I think I'll have to answer you in the reverse order, sir. I don't know, 5-6 questions you asked. If I forget one or two, you please remind me, I'll answer again. The last one that you asked, see, EC as it stands today, it is given for a maximum period of 30 years. But they're restricted to the lease period. Concurrently, whichever is earlier, they say 30 years or your lease period, whichever is earlier. Tomorrow, when you extend the lease or renew the lease, you don't have to go in for EC. The same EC will continue. I hope I'm clear. Okay, now, if you are aware, we have one draft EA notification 2020. There are a lot of litigations. Okay, it is still not implemented. So that means this EIA 2006 notification will be repealed. We will have a new EIA 2020 notification. The draft came sometime in March 2020, April 2020, but it is not yet notified. Once it notified only, we'll have to see how the final shape will take place. Now, under the MMDR Act, the maximum lease period is 50 years. In the draft EIA also, they want to make EC for 50 years. But since that is not come into effect, now what they are doing is, slowly they are relaxing. Now, under the current EC norms, they want to give it for 50 years. What they are doing is, for major minerals, what they are doing is 30 years they have given. Then they say, you come to me every 5 years. You come to me every 5 years, I'll reassess you every 5 years, and then I will ensure that it is given to you for. They started with coal, they've come up to other major minerals, and slowly it will come to minor also. They will do it. They will do it. So that means, if it is for 5 years lease, and let's say you get it extended, or renewed, if the applications, if the provisions allow you, then EC is valid for 30 years. You don't have to, as long as you maintain the same capacity, you maintain the same area. Because if you exceed the capacity, you have to go in for an amendment in EC. If you exceed the area, you have to go in for an amendment. Whether it is amendment or a fresh, the EC, the EIA notification contemplates prior EC, mind you. It is not post facto. If it is post facto, then violation case. So that is how it works. I hope I have answered your last question. Now coming to the question before that, the matter before the Honorable Supreme Court. So what happens, our legal system is like that. It takes 15 years, 20 years, nothing we can do. If you want to expedite, sir, it is not only whether royalty is a tax or not, there are a lot of other questions that are tied up with that. Like in GST, we have this joint development agreements wherein the landowner and the builder, they join together, they build some apartments, there are some issues. Even those matters are there. Now, maybe as an association, you can probably through a good lawyer in the Supreme Court, you can file an application asking for early hearing if you can. You should demonstrate to the court that, look, the stakes are too high. So kindly expedite hearing. We don't know. From 2011, it is pending. It is 2023. No, we don't know. Maybe through an association, you can file one, maybe an application. Hopefully, if the court entertains, then maybe you can go in for an early hearing. The other question that you had on DMF, correct? District, sir, there are guidelines, there are DMF rules, and also we also have something called as PMKKY, Pradhan Mantri Khanij Kshetra Kalyan, something is there. There is a guideline. There are clear-cut guidelines, but of course it is misused. They are buying tables and chairs for the police stations. Okay, they are doing everything and anything and everything, but not for what it is meant to, but somebody has to take up the matter. I think you have a good case because there are a lot of funds in DMF, thousands of crores are there in DMF. So that there are guidelines, are very clear guidelines. It should be used only for the mining affected areas, but they are doing everything other than that. Even for the DC's office, Deputy Collector or Deputy Commissioner's office, they are buying furniture. So many things are happening. Even in Karnataka, to construct a swimming pool also the fund is used. Anyway, that apart, but there are guidelines, sir. The other, what are the other questions, sir? Transfer of lease, yes. Sir, actually it is other way around. I think, minor mineral rules, there is some amendment, sir. I think it is allowed now. Even for, actually what you said, in major that was a problem. They were allowing only for auctioned cases. For non-auction cases, they said we will not allow until unless you are a captive mines. Then eventually, I think in March 2021, they have relaxed. They are saying, no problem, as long as that fellow gives me the premium, I'm not bothered now. So it's allowed now. Even I think minor minerals is allowed. Sorry? In minor minerals, there are some amendments, sir. I will check. This is one aspect, I don't recall now, but I think it should be allowed. What was the other one, sir, you had? Transfer, one was before that? Before transfer? Transit pass. Sir, what happens? For transit pass, the issue comes for M sand and P sand or jelly. So what happens in the eyes of the law, any minor mineral rules, the road metal, in Karnataka we call it as ordinary building stone, you take, you crush, you convert into jelly, okay, you convert into M sand or P sand, whether it is the quarried material, boulders or quarried material or jelly or M sand or P sand, they are still considered as minor mineral. They are still considered as ordinary building stone. It doesn't change the mineral, what should I say, the categorization. It's still the same minor mineral. Now, since it's a minor mineral, the government wants to have a control. Now, what happens, sir? Royalty, they make you pay only once. They don't ask royalty after you manufacture M sand or P sand. No, that they cannot do it. But just to have a control, so that otherwise illegal mining will be there. That is the reason here you have transit pass. In Karnataka, we call it as a trip sheet. CMDP we call. But there also, once I buy from the quarry owner, let's say 1,000 tons I buy. He gives me a royalty paid document, the MDP, Mineral Dispatch Permit. You get some number, etc., etc. I sell it to a crusher operator. Let's say you are a crusher operator. Now, you should get registered in the portal. In Karnataka, you also should get registered. Then you will take this data and input. 1,000 tons. Once you manufacture M sand, to the extent of 1,000 tons, they are allowing you to take those permits. This is only for control, sir. If they ask you to pay one more royalty, then that is a mistake. But otherwise, I think we should allow, sir, because this helps in control of illegal mining. I don't see it's a problem. Only issue will be if they ask you to pay royalty once again, then you have a case. Otherwise, some nominal 150 rupees they charge processing fee. I don't see a problem. I think that should be fine. That should be fine.
சார் ஒரே ஒரு கொஸ்டின் தப்பா எடுத்துக்காதீங்க. 5 வருஷம் லீஸ் எங்களுக்கு ஈசி கொடுத்துருக்காங்க. 30 years எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் வந்து ஒன்லி 20 years ஈசி இருக்கவங்க தான் முடியும்னு சொல்லி சியால சொன்னாங்க. அப்ப நாம கமிஷனர் கிட்ட கொடுத்து அதை ரெப்ரசென்ட் பண்ணிருக்கோம். ஸோ 5 years ஈசி இருக்கவங்களுக்கும் அந்த 30 years எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் பண்ணிக்கலாமா? ஒண்ணு. அதே மாதிரி இவர் என்ன சொன்னார்னா, அந்த ஸ்டாக் யார்டு எப்படி கர்நாடகாவில் வந்திருக்குன்னா, நம்ம 1000 டன் கல் வாங்கினோம்னா 1000 டன் வித்துக்கலாம். அதுக்கு தான் டிரான்சிட் பாஸ் கொடுக்குறாங்கன்னு அவர் சொல்றாரு கர்நாடகாவில்.
I got his question, sir. Can I answer? But you can translate in Tamil. So now, EC maximum is 30 or lease period, whichever is earlier they give. Now, your case, you have a lease for 5 years. Definitely, I can't give you EC for 30 years. They will say maximum is 30 years. There are notifications. Now, what you should do, you have your lease for 5 years. So, EC also is restricted to 5 years. One capacity, one area, extent of the area. We are clear? Okay, now, let's say this 5 years is extended. Whether renewal allowed, not allowed, that's a different matter. The Mines and Geology Department or the state government gives you renewal, let's say for next 5 years. For the same area, for the same production capacity, you don't need one more EC. This EC, only thing is, you have to make a small application for an amendment. You should say, sir, now it is extended. Now, this EC, what was restricted to 5 years, allow it to be extended for another 5 years. They will do it. There is no bar. There is no bar. We have done it. Only thing is, you have to make an application. Online, you have to only just intimate. If until unless you change the production, until unless you increase the area, then you have to go in for an amendment to the EC. Otherwise, not required. That is a law.
இல்லை, ஒன் திங், இப்போ எனக்கு 1 lakh cubic meter கொடுத்துருக்காங்கன்னு வைங்க சார். 1 lakh cubic meter நான் எடுத்துட்டேன். பட் ஏரியா சேம் தான். மறுபடியும் ஒரு 1 lakh அதுலேயே இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் டெப்த் போட்டு எடுக்கலாம்னு விரும்புகிறேன். அப்படி இருக்கும்போது மறுபடியும் 5 வருஷம் எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன் கொடுக்கலாம்.
இல்லை, அதான் ரெண்டு மெயின். ஒன்று வந்து உங்கள் கெப்பாசிட்டி நீங்கள் 1 லட்சத்துக்கு வாங்கியிருக்கீங்கன்னு வச்சுங்க. அந்த 1 லட்சத்தை நீங்கள் மாற்றலைன்னா, அடுத்த 5 வருஷமும் நீங்கள் அதே 1 லட்சம் தான் பண்ண போகிறீங்கன்னா, அது இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணாத வரைக்கும் ஒன்லி அப்ளிகேஷன் மட்டும் போட்டிங்கன்னா போதும், ஜஸ்ட்டு. ஆனால் நீங்கள் அது ஏரியாவை விஸ்தாரப்படுத்துறீங்க, இல்லை இதை 1 லட்சத்துக்கு பதிலாக 2 லட்சமாக பண்ண போகிறீங்க அப்படின்னா அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் போட்டு புது ஈசி வாங்கணும், அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் வாங்கணும் ஈசிக்கு. ஆனால் சாதாரணமாக அதே ப்ரொடக்ஷன் அதே ஏரியா அப்படின்னா வெறும் அப்ளிகேஷன் மட்டும் போட்டால் போதும். 5 வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் அது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக உங்களுக்கு ரெனியூ ஆகும்.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Regarding GST on royalty.
Yeah.
So most of the quarries are individual name, whereas concern is in different name. So royalty is paying on that individual name only. Is it possible to claim that royalty for that company written, sir?
So what happens if you're an individual? When you go in for a registration, whether it is VAT or now GST, they give you an option to go in for a trade name. Okay. Now, what you said, a concern, it is nothing but run by the same individual in a proprietorship. So, for a proprietorship, you want a trade name, because many people, they don't want, you can have a trade name in your own name. Like say one Mr. Senthil Kumar, I'm sorry, some name. One Mr. Senthil Kumar, he has been given the quarry lease. The lease is in the name of Senthil Kumar, no problem, sir. Now, when he goes for a GST registration, he can operate in the name of Senthil Kumar only, no problems. But sometimes what people do is, instead of operating in the same name as Senthil Kumar, they will say SS Granites. But again, SS Granite is only a trade name. If you see, it is against the same pan. It is against the same pan. It's just a trade name. Once you go in for a registration, you will put your individual name as Senthil Kumar. You will also given an option as having a trade name. In fact, nowadays they are giving you option to have 2 trade names. For 2 different business verticals, they are allowing you 2 trade names. So trade name is not the criteria. The criteria is who is the person operating the business. It is an individual. Even in the GST, you have the same PAN. There is no difference. So now, whatever GST you pay, you will be paying by using the GST number, not the trade name. You can change the trade name, but the PAN, the person behind the number is the same. So there's no difference. So GST you remit by using the same GST number. You remit 1 month, let's say March, you remit now. February you remit in the month of March, take credit in the, then you have to go in for an amendment to the EC. Otherwise, not required. That is a law.
இல்ல ஒன் திங், இப்போ எனக்கு 1 lakh cubic meter கொடுத்துருக்காங்கன்னு வைங்க சார், 1 lakh cubic meter நான் எடுத்துட்டேன். பட் ஏரியா சேம் தான், மறுபடியும் ஒரு 1 lakh அதுலயே இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் டெப்த் போட்டு எடுக்கலாம்னு விரும்புறேன். அப்படி இருக்கும்போது மறுபடியும் 5 வருஷம் எக்ஸ்டென்ஷன்
இல்ல
கொடுப்பாங்க.
இல்ல அதான் ரெண்டு மெயின். ஒண்ணு வந்து உங்க கெப்பாசிட்டி நீங்க 1 லட்சத்துக்கு வாங்கியிருக்கீங்கன்னு வச்சுங்க, அந்த 1 லட்சத்தை நீங்க மாத்தலைன்னா, அடுத்த 5 வருஷமும் நீங்க அதே 1 லட்சம் தான் பண்ண போறீங்கன்னா, அது இன்க்ரீஸ் பண்ணாத வரைக்கும் ஒன்லி அப்ளிகேஷன் மட்டும் போட்டீங்கன்னா போதும் ஜஸ்ட். ஆனா நீங்க அது ஏரியாவை விஸ்தாரம் படுத்துறீங்க, இல்ல இது 1 லட்சத்துக்கு பதிலா 2 லட்சமா பண்ண போறீங்க அப்படின்னா அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் போட்டு புது ஈசி வாங்கணும், அமெண்ட்மெண்ட் வாங்கணும் ஈசிக்கு. அதனால சாதாரணமா அதே ப்ரொடக்ஷன் அதே ஏரியா அப்படின்னா வெறும் அப்ளிகேஷன் மட்டும் போட்டா போதும், 5 வருஷத்துக்கு அப்புறம் அது ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா உங்களுக்கு ரெனியூ ஆகும்.
Thank you, sir.
Good morning, sir. Regarding GST on royalty.
Yeah.
So most of the queries are individual name, whereas concern is in different name. So royalty is paying on that individual name only. Is it possible to claim that royalty for that company written, sir?
So what happens if you're an individual? When you go in for a registration, whether it is VAT or now GST, they give you an option to go in for a trade name. Okay. Now, what you said, a concern, it is nothing but run by the same individual in a proprietorship. So, for a proprietorship, you want a trade name, because many people, they don't want, you can have a trade name in your own name. Like say one Mr. Senthil Kumar, I'm sorry, some name. One Mr. Senthil Kumar, he has been given the quarry lease. The lease is in the name of Senthil Kumar, no problems. Now, when he goes for a GST registration, he can operate in the name of Senthil Kumar only, no problems. But sometimes what people do is, instead of operating in the same name as Senthil Kumar, they will say SS Granites. But again, SS Granite is only a trade name. If you see, it is against the same PAN. It is against the same PAN. It's just a trade name. Once you go in for a registration, you will put your individual name as Senthil Kumar. You will also given an option as having a trade name. In fact, nowadays they are giving you option to have 2 trade names. For 2 different business verticals, they are allowing you 2 trade names. So trade name is not the criteria. The criteria is who is the person operating the business. It is an individual. Even in the GST, you have the same PAN. There is no difference. So now, whatever GST you pay, you will be paying by using the GST number, not the trade name. You can change the trade name, but the PAN, the person behind the number is the same. So there's no difference. So GST you remit by using the same GST number. You remit 1 month, let's say March, you remit now. February you remit in the month of March, take credit in the problem. That's what I told you, because the name is only a trade name. As long as you demonstrate is the same property. If you see, you will have a legal name will be Senthil Kumar. The trade name will be some SS Granites, XY, whatever. It makes no difference. It's one and the same. It's one and the same. Yes, sir. Thank you.
For major vendors, the central government has delegated area down to CR and ACS. It has gone
Down to?
the index.
Ha.
It is being now authorized in the state level.
Yeah, that EC limits.
Easy limits.
Categorization. A and B.
Categorization.
Yeah.
Categorization. Now, earlier there used to be the provision of DIA and the DEAC. Adum illa. So it is now the very poor situation in every state. CR and SCAC is overloaded, too much crowded, causing delay in EC process. Unwanted production delays, everything is cascading effect is there. What is your thought on this? Whether this forum can be utilized to represent, to get back DEAC and DIA to help the mining industry?
Please, sir. So, DEAC, DEIA, January 15th of January 2016 is the notification. That is when they formed. Sir, as we have seen, district collector in Tamil Nadu. In Karnataka, we call it as DC, Deputy Commissioner, one of the same. So practically, they are overloaded with a lot of work because DC is the boss of the district. Now, to him only you are attaching EC. So things were worse. At least in Karnataka, I have seen. Before the state committee, I used to get my case listed or heard in 2 to 3 months. Whereas at the district level, for years, no sitting has happened. For years, 2 years, 3, because sir, the DC is overloaded. In fact, even in Tamil Nadu minor mineral rules, a lot of powers given to the district collector. Nowadays, they are bringing in the Assistant Director of Geology and Mining, Deputy Director of Geology and Mining. Otherwise, the powers are all central, to the DC. I think, sir, we have to only make a representation. Nowadays, they have to sit every 15 days. That one new OM has come. I think after 2018 or 19, every 15 days, it's happening, sir. At least central government, I know it's happening. You said, maybe you should ask for maybe one more bench. That is possible. You can ask them to have, let CR be the same, SCIAA be the same, SCAC can be multiple bodies. That is possible. Because even center we have one for infrastructure, one for coal, one for non-coal, the other industries. Maybe for mining alone, you should represent saying that, sir, give us one more SCAC. Possible. That's possible. But sir, it is better at the state level if you ask me. Practically, if you go back to the district, your cases are not heard, sir. It takes enormous time. This is better.
Thank you very much, sir. We have already taken 1.5 hours.
Sir, excuse the last question, please.
No, I think it's better. A lot of questions are coming, and he is an expert to answer all your questions. உங்களுக்கு ஆன்சர்லாம் பண்ணுவாரு. தயவுசெய்து மற்ற பேப்பர் இருக்கிறனால அவர் லஞ்ச் டைம்ல தயவுசெய்து அவர் தனியா பார்த்து கேட்டுக்கங்க.
Okay, right.
டவுட் இருந்துச்சுன்னா அப்புறம் இங்க மற்றவங்களுக்கு சொல்லிக்கலாம் நீங்க. ஏன்னா மற்ற 2 பேப்பர் இருக்கு, அதை கொஞ்சம் கன்சிடர் பண்ணுங்க.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Very interesting and lively discussion. And thank you.